Hi guys! Let's talk about something that has been mentioned a lot recently and not in a positive way. And yes, I'm talking about the Heated Rivalry book. The show came out, everyone loved it, and some people decided to go into the books, and there came a lot of disappointment, like a huge one. I have seen the comments claiming the books to be shallow, badly written, fanfiction level, and even pointless. And while some of the disappointment makes sense and even some of the criticism is valid, I believe there were really mismatched expectations. So let's discuss. And first, I would like to clarify where I'm standing here, to be honest with you. And well, I kinda love Heated Rivalry. I mean, I'm obsessed with it, like everyone else. Like, guys, have you seen it? It's already Olympic level obsession if you have missed it. So yeah, and after watching a couple of episodes, I decided to pick up the books, and well, I can say that the books did the same for me, and I believe if not for the show, I would have been like much colder to them. But still, I really love the idea, the story, tension, yearning. I'm obsessed with Ilya in the books and their situationship for years, but I must admit that it's the show that made it for me, because I really love the way it was created, the actors, the acting there, and I believe the show was so emotionally deep that it was inevitable that I loved the books as well. So the main problem is that people actually wanted the same depth, the same intensity, the same even emotional precision as in the show. And if not to put it so subtle, I would say that people just wanted the same level of dopamine they got from the show, from this masterpiece. And well, many people still ignore the fact that books make it better. Because after reading the books, it opened my eyes and I saw many things in the show that I missed, and some of the points were really clarified for me. Still, the disappointment is present, and let's tackle down what exactly people are talking. And the first point that is mentioned more than anything is that the language of the books is too simple and it's actually like fanfiction. Well, it's true that language is more functional in the book, but it doesn't mean that it's fanfiction, not automatically. In fact, some fanfiction is emotionally and stylistically more ambiguous than most of the sports MMM romances. Fanfiction is something that created based on their real characters that are already loved. So we know why we are reading this, because we love the character and we want to go deeper into their thoughts, for example. That's why writers are free to experiment with their language, with their plot, and actually how deep into the thoughts they're going to go. Some of the fanfictions are so great that they are published as independent books, what we see a lot recently. That if it's sports MM romance that is meant to be consumed easily and fast, authors really don't have the option to develop that much. They need to present as characters, their background, some framework, some, I don't know, ideas of their problems and side characters. They have so much to describe to us that there is no option to stop and go into the emotional depth of one of the character and why it's such a big problem for them, what is going on around. That's why the language may seem simple to you, because the aim is not to challenge you, but to entertain, keep you engaged. At the end of the day, many people don't want to rack their brains around someone else's problems in the books. They want to go home and relax while reading. That's why they crave something that is simple and fast. Authors of sports romances, they know it, so they give us what we want. So if you went into these books expecting layered prose and some complexity, well, it's inevitable that you feel disappointed. Let's move on to the next point, and many blame sports romance and actually the Heated Rivalry as well for lack of the sport itself. Well, here I would like to agree, because yes, there is barely any sport in there, and after reading a couple of hockey and football romances, I have no idea how many actually players are in the game, and I'm pretty glad that I know that there is a stick, a puck, and they play in the hockey rink with the skates. So yeah, but at the same time, in these sports driven romances, as well as in other genres like, I would say, academia or maybe even romantasy, all these settings are not meant to be explained to you. It's something as like a quick framework for our characters to explain things, like even not explain things easily, but just to give us the information in one word. Because when you hear that the person is a hockey player, a professional hockey player in NFL, what do you expect from them? Of course, that it's a competitive and determined person with a high income, muscles, some routine, high pressure on them. So you see how many things just come in this package of a hockey player, and that's exactly how it works in many sports romances. So I kind of understand why we have almost no sport there, because once again, if people want to consume these things easily and fast, I don't think they expect some strategic material how they are going to play the game, but rather like background of it. And believe me, in Heated Rivalry we actually have a lot of sport. Compared to other book series and romances, sports romances that I've consumed, well, sometimes hockey player is just like a career that happens somewhere in the background, and we have no idea what's going on in the hockey rink, because like everything takes place during summer, and we actually have a person and just, well, he's a hockey player, play with it. Thank you very much. So to wrap it up, I agree with the point that there is barely any sport, but we kinda don't expect it. The next point I would like to discuss is that Heated Rivalry and like most of sports romances are criticized because it's only smut. Well, I would agree. There is a lot of intimate intercourse in there, and well, there are books that are purely smut. I mean, the main idea of such plots usually is to get these two in the bed and make them do something there. In this case, I usually DNF the book because I read purely for the relationship, maybe some character development, not to see something that I saw in many other books before. And the last point I would like to discuss is that women fetishize gay relationships. Yes, I know, that's a really controversial topic with a lot of layers to that, and it usually turns the conversation either into defensive or hostile, and I don't want neither. I admit that it exists, but it doesn't automatically invalidate the genre. Actually, there is a psychological reason why women gravitate towards romance, and it was discussed in some of the interviews by the show creators, and I really like that it was acknowledged. So in the heterosexual romance, female readers almost inevitably project themselves on the female protagonists. And this projection brings internal stereotypes, expectations, and some pressure into the reading experience. romance removes that. With two male protagonists, many readers can distance themselves from the story and just observe it. That allows them to enjoy the relationships without this gendered baggage in the plot. Especially in sports romance, it works really well because we have two confident, physically built, and emotionally guarded characters. Take Heated Rivalry. They are both really famous and successful hockey players with high income, so they're building their relationships in the same gendered framework, so to say. It doesn't erase all the stereotypes, but it changes which stereotypes are at play. So, were people wrong to be disappointed? Definitely not. But many were disappointed because they don't know how the genre works, or they expected something more emotionally deep. Well, This genre is meant to entertain you, not to impress. If that works for you, that's great. If not, you're not the failure in this pattern. If you're curious to try out the genre, well, I would recommend you to start with the Heated Rivalry book and then the long game after watching the show, and it will really help you to understand the characters better. After that, I would recommend to continue with the Fake Boyfriend series, for example. It really worked well for me. If you still don't feel like it, well, don't force yourself. There are other romances out there like Call Me By Your Name, Deep House or Giovanni's Room. These three I would totally recommend. They are mostly focused on the emotional conversation and some internalized conflicts. Let me know in the comment what you think about sports romance and if you like the Heated Rivalry book. See you in the next video.